We're 1:30 away.
Okay. Where do you want us to set up? Right over here. Okay. Right in front of us.
Hi, 1, 2, 3. We have John Bravender here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
It's Thursday, May 25th, and this is now on HNN.
The last several seasons have been very quiet.
Hurricane season officially begins in a week. New at noon, the Central Pacific Hurricane Center tells us how many storms we can expect in its outlook.
More resources from the U.S. Coast Guard here in Honolulu are on their way to Guam. Plus, we'll hear from residents on the ground there.
This was just something different. It was scary. I felt like the house was going to get ripped apart.
The governor announces a new direction for the new Aloha Stadium project.
We're just 7 days away from when Treasury officials say the U.S. will run out of cash to pay its bills. I'm Skylar Henry on Capitol Hill with where negotiations stand on raising the nation's debt ceiling.
These stories, plus we head to West Oahu to check out the Hawaiian Humane Society's new campus and the services available for pet owners. Details coming up on This Is Now. Aloha, happy Thursday, and thank you for being with us for This Is Now. Ashley Nagaoka with me. I'm Casey Lund filling in for Dylan. A lot to get to. Of course, June 1st, the official start of hurricane season. That's just a week away, right, Ash?
That's right. And moments ago, NOAA forecasters just gave their prediction on what Hawaii can expect this year. Joining us live is our chief meteorologist, Jennifer Robbins from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. Jen, what can you tell us?
Aloha, everyone. As you know, it's been quiet the last 3 years. We had La Niña. Now switching gears, and we're talking about major gears to El Niño, and that was the big talk today at the conference. In fact, I have John Bravender here from the Warning Coordination Meteorologist of the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jen. I'm glad to be here and talk about this.
So this is going to be serious when we talk about El Niño. Usually our eyebrows are rising because it is a serious situation for us.
El Niño years, we tend to see more tropical cyclone activity in the Central Pacific. Normally we tell people it doesn't matter what the outlook is, it only takes one to really impact your life for a long time. But during El Niño years, we tend to have more activity, which means more chances for us to be impacted here in Hawaii.
We're talking about notable past El Niño years. 2009 was one, 2015 and 2016. We had 16 that crossed into our basin. So how is this a game changer compared to La Niña?
La Niña years, we've had 3 in a row that were very quiet. 2, 1, and 1 for the last 3 years. An average year for us is 4 to 5 tropical cyclones. 2015, that was our record-setting year. Even in 2009, we didn't have 15, but we still had Neki coming up through the Northwest Hawaiian Islands. So they can be more very impactful because of the warm water near the islands.
And I know you folks are very busy today. You're also helping out Guam. Talk about that situation as they face a super typhoon and the recovery efforts behind that.
The super typhoon that just went through Guam is like a stark reminder. This is May. West Pacific sees a lot of activity, and during El Niño years, the West Pacific, they tend to see cyclones form farther east, which gives more threat for Guam and the Northern Marianas Islands. So this, as we're recovering from the devastation that occurred there, we have to look to the future as well and what might be on the horizon. Here in our office, we're trying to help out as much as we can. We have a forecast office in Guam who gave us their responsibility. We're forecasting for them now so they can take care of themselves, take care of their homes, and get back up and running.
And as we face the changes this year, we're talking about above average season. What are the takeaways you want to share with the public?
Get ready now. Don't wait until there's a tropical storm or hurricane on the horizon. Start your preparedness now. It might be hard to get 2 weeks of food and water, but get as much as you can afford, much as you can store. And don't wait until there's something out there now. If you do that now, you'll be ready and not have to stand in line when the time comes.
Very good information there. And we also have Veronica Verde from FEMA, and she has faced a lot of storms and destruction. Thank you so much for coming and being here today. Talk about how the public can prepare.
Well, right now, what people need to look at is having that emergency kit and making sure that they have 14 days of supply. Another thing that they need to do is have a family plan. Where are they going to go? Do they need to evacuate? Do they need a shelter in place? And also, there's a lot of great resources that we have. We have the FEMA app that shows how people can prepare now. There's also a great resource if shelters happen to open up if there is a disaster. There's also ready.gov that provides many tools for individuals and families on how to prepare now on all hazards.
And we were talking about Guam itself. What can we learn from this situation? They are a resilient nation, as we know. They face typhoon after typhoon, but this was a little bit different because this was almost a direct hit, even though the eye of the storm didn't cross over them. What can we learn from this situation and take it here at home in Hawaii?
Well, luckily we were able to deploy individuals before the storm, but one of the things that people need to learn is there's still flooding that occurs even after the hurricane leaves that island. So people really need to look at other types of insurance, for example, like flood insurance is always important because flooding will continue. 1 inch of flooding can cost $25,000 worth of damage. But more importantly, people need to ensure where they're going to go to if they live in a low-lying area and it does flood. So they need to start to look at where are those evacuation routes, where are those shelters, and also try to figure out where can they shelter in place before a storm hits.
And today we're talking about how it takes a whole community. We can't just rely on government agencies, of course. So let's talk about the conversation we should have at home.
So one of the conversations that individuals and families should have at home is how are they going to reunite in case like there is a major disaster? What type of emergency kit do they need? 14 days of supply. They need to look at their home, at work, and also like in their cars. Those are some of the things that people need to start looking at and preparing now. And it only takes one storm. We just saw what happened in Guam. Again, it's still early May. Hurricane season doesn't occur until June the 1st, and we already have this typhoon that has impacted Guam. So we want to make sure that people get prepared now, look at that risk, and start preparing for it.
Thank you so much, Veronica, and thank you so much, John Bravender. So that's a friendly reminder. Hurricane season does begin June 1st and then continues to November 30th. But as we're talking about, and we talk about each year, it only takes one, and that's why it's very important to prepare now. And the outlook today, we're talking about above average. It really doesn't matter the number there of 5 to 7. We're talking about how El Nino could be a driving force for more of those tropical cyclones to cross into the Central Pacific. So be prepared now, and a great way to do that is also to download our Hawaii News Now interactive radar, and also we have a number of tools on our app, so make sure to download that. So back to you, Ash and Casey. Again, be prepared now.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, she stole the words right out of my mouth. Download that app. Such an important resource, and we're so grateful to have Jen, Guy Hoggy,
Yes.
Ben, our entire weather team keeping an eye on things. Ash, so speaking about weather and our neighbors in the Pacific, of course, as they were talking about Guam, things were really bad. The majority of that really rough weather has passed, but they still have some issues, and there's still a lot of cleaning up to do. I just got off a Zoom call just moments ago with a gentleman in Guam, and we have a little bit more about the Coast Guard's response from Honolulu as well.
It was pretty scary. I think myself and everybody that is on the military installation is probably fortunate to have a facility that has been outfitted to survive things like this. But downtown is just a different story.
Ronald Bass is in the United States Air Force stationed in Guam. He says while the worst of the storm has passed, he and everyone on the island are realizing just how hard it was hit.
So it was actually pretty shocking to wake up the next day, daylight, and just seeing trees that stood nice and tall, just chopped down, whether from, the halfway point or just ripped from the ground.
This airman has been stationed all over the country. He and his family have seen severe weather, but this was different.
This was just something different. It was scary. It was really hard to go to sleep. This was just something different. It was scary. It was really hard to go to sleep.
Another C-130 from the United States Coast Guard here in Honolulu took off today to get over to Guam and get to work.
One of our priorities is opening the port to commercial traffic so we can bring food and fuel back into Guam.
District 14 Admiral Michael Day says his priority is making sure his people are safe so that they can help others.
Most of the Coast Guard families are doing pretty well over there. About 80% live in military housing, and the military housing has fared pretty well. There's a wide-scale power outages, but in terms of the devastation we could have experienced, we're fortunate.
Admiral Day says the men and women sent to Guam from Honolulu are there for the long haul, and they're prepared to send more resources if needed.
I think one of the hallmarks of the Coast Guard is when things are at their worst, we're at our best. And so the key enabler of all that is our people. So if their homes are decimated, we're sending in extra workers so people can focus on their families and their homes. But we still have that resiliency of extra people to send. So we anticipated ships sunk or boats in the harbor putting out pollution. So we sent pollution investigators, pollution responders, what we call strike team, who are very specialized in helping oil responses.
New at noon, Governor Josh Green just announced a new direction for the new Aloha Stadium and the surrounding entertainment district. The project will be delivered as one public-private partnership, meaning the developer will design and build a new stadium using state and private funds. The new approach uses the current appropriation of $400 million and transfers the responsibility of long-term funding and cost overruns to the private sector. Green says that should reduce the risk of financial burden on Hawaii taxpayers. The existing procurement processes have been canceled. The target opening date for the new Aloha Stadium will be in time for the 2028 UH football season.
A deadly fire in an apartment complex on the North Shore is under investigation at this hour. The fire broke out around noon yesterday in Waialua. HFD says they found smoke and flames coming out of a third-floor unit. They also found the body of a man in his 70s in that apartment. Sources tell us he may have been smoking in bed and his wife tried unsuccessfully to put that fire out. She was able to escape. The Red Cross is helping 6 people who are displaced by the fire.
HPD is searching for 3 people in a black SUV who used bolt cutters to burglarize a kiosk at Kewalo Harbor. Dive Oahu's surveillance video shows the suspects early Sunday morning. They cut through a lockbox, then returned 30 minutes later and broke into their storage shack. They took off with about $8,000 worth of scuba scooters, GoPros, and dive lights.
It's tough for us, coming out of COVID, especially in the industry that we're in. Every penny kind of counts.
They're just basically window shopping. So they're driving past businesses, maybe walking past businesses, and kind of casing out there. And what they're doing is they're looking for these lock boxes that are hanging outside these businesses.
Police say just last week, 9 businesses with lockboxes were burglarized in town. Owners are urged to avoid using them.
A federal judge awarded $30 million in damages to a former military family whose infant did not get the care she needed at Tripler Army Medical Center. In 2016, lawyers for the Warren family say their 1-month-old daughter needed life-saving surgery for twisted intestines, but did not get it until 19 hours later at Kapiolani Medical Center. She's now 6 years old and still relies on a feeding tube.
When I signed my contract, it was to, protect and serve, and that's what I did. But when it came time for them to do it, they didn't.
In a statement, Tripler said in part that it is committed to providing quality health care to the community. The federal government has 60 days to appeal the case.
In Japan, 3 people are dead, including 2 police officers, in a rare shooting and stabbing attack in Nakano City. A 4th victim was injured, and residents there are being urged to stay indoors. Police say the gunman shot at officers as they responded to a call about a man stabbing a woman. A federal judge sentenced the Oath Keepers founder to 18 years in prison today. 58-year-old Stuart Rhodes was originally convicted on seditious conspiracy charges in November, which have rarely been used by courts in the past 150 years. He's the first person to be sentenced on that charge in more than a decade. The judge blamed Rhodes for bringing his militia to Washington, D.C., and he said without Rhodes, the Oath Keepers would not have been there on the day of the Capitol riot, which he said equates to domestic terrorism. The sentence is a win for the Justice Department, even though its prosecutors did not get the 25-year sentence they asked for.
There is just 1 week until the Treasury Department runs out of money to pay its bills. That leaves little time for Congress to reach an agreement on raising the debt ceiling. But so far, there's no signs of a deal between House Republicans and the White House. Skylar Henry has more.
Both House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden say they're optimistic a deal can be reached to avoid the nation defaulting on its debt.
Now, I want to be clear that the negotiations we're having with Speaker McCarthy is about the outlines of what the budget will look like, not about default. It's about competing visions for America.
Nothing will be resolved till we solve them all. We know where our differences lie. We worked well in past midnight last night. We're back at it today, trying to get to the conclusion that we can solve this whole problem.
Lawmakers left Washington for the Memorial Day weekend while talks continue.
The House should absolutely leave town. There's nothing more for the House to do. The Senate should pass Limit, Save, Grow.
I think if you listen that they're making progress, I expect us, based on what everyone's saying, the body language, that we'll be back here.
The biggest sticking point remains spending. Democrats have offered to freeze spending at current levels, but Republicans want to cut the budget.
We're at a sensitive phase with sensitive issues that remain. Those sensitive issues are the thorniest issues that we've been discussing.
Some Democrats say they don't want to see cuts to social programs that help the neediest Americans.
If there's going to be Democratic votes for an eventual package, folks want to make sure that our values are represented.
Failure to reach an agreement would impact every American. One of the top 3 credit agencies is warning of a potential downgrade to the U.S. credit rating if a deal isn't reached. That would lead to higher interest rates, making loans more expensive. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Today marks the unofficial start of the summer travel season, and forecasters are predicting near record travel for the Memorial Day weekend. Chris Van Cleve tells us about vacation inflation.
Kelsey Elizondo and Isaiah Wright hoped their pre-Memorial Day vacation would be a money saver, but heading home to Salt Lake from Atlanta, they're feeling the pinch of vacation inflation.
It's outrageous how expensive it is to fly now. It's crazy. We've traveled a lot prior to kids, and we felt like we could go anywhere, even on a budget.
But with their 1-year-old and 4-year-old in tow, the costs added up fast.
How much more did you spend, do you think?
I'd say almost double.
Yeah, I'd say probably another $2,000 more than we thought.
In April, airfare jumped 2.7% from March. While it's down slightly from last summer, it's nearly 10% higher than it was before the pandemic. Hotels are up 3.5% from last year and up 15% from 2019. Car rentals will likely be cheaper this summer, down 11% from last year, but remain 51% higher than 4 years ago.
Vacation inflation is huge this summer. We're seeing high demand in travel, and with that, we're seeing high prices.
Sally French tracks vacation inflation for NerdWallet.
So people should expect to pay more for their travel than they have in even the past couple years.
35% of travelers told NerdWallet they've opted to drive instead of fly to save money, with gas prices more than $1 lower on average than last year. We met Jacob Rash filling up this RV at a Buc-ee's in Georgia for $2.85 a gallon.
I didn't think gas was going to be that much of an issue, but I almost spent like $1,000, and we didn't go more than 2,000 miles. You know, it's crazy.
And the cost to do things on vacation, that's up too. Food away from home jumped nearly 9% from last year, 24% from 2019. Movies and concerts will cost you about 7% more than last year.
What we went in thinking we were going to spend versus what we actually spent is crazy.
Some 37 million Americans are expected to drive for Memorial Day weekend. AAA expects traffic to really start to build between 3 and 6 p.m. Thursday and Friday. They say the best time to go will be Friday morning. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, on the road in Chicago.
Well, you and I are not going anywhere, Case.
No, that's for sure.
Are you working Memorial Day?
Am I working Memorial Day? Yeah, we work in the news, so yes. The answer to that is always
All right,
yes.
so we will see you guys right here on Monday.
Well, hey, I was able to go check out the new West Oahu Humane Society.
Lucky.
Really cool. Got to meet some cute friends out there and just see what that space is going to mean for the community. I filed this report earlier. Aloha from that new West Campus here in Ho'opili, and this is such an amazing facility. We spent the day on Sunrise showing folks around. They've got some really important services here. Not all of their services are up and running just yet. Some things like animal acceptance, or animal admission, I should say, still happen at the in-town campus, Mo'ili'ili campus on King Street. Eventually they'll bring all those online, but they're kind of starting out slow as things get set up. But it's an absolutely beautiful facility. One of the other things that will be online soon and open is the dog park here. Really, really nice park for folks to come and get a little exercise, get the dogs out, and then also all the animals here at the shelter. The dogs here will also be able to take advantage of that. Dogs like Marvel. Marvel's right here with us today. We had featured quite a few animals that are available for adoption. Adoption services very much up and running here, despite some of those other services not quite being completely online. So check them out online. We'll have the website to the Hawaiian Humane Society at ours at hawaiinewsnow.com. But I want to talk to some of the folks that have helped to make this happen, or at least kind of behind the scenes, as we had this huge project, a $30 million fundraising campaign to get this facility in place here. I want to talk with Rick Zorn. He's on the board. What can you tell me? This is something that I know the board is proud of and that the community really can be proud of.
It is, Casey. We've worked as a board for over 10 years to bring this to life. And now it's finally here, and we kind of think about this place, if there were such a thing as an American Idol competition for dog shelters, this place would win. It has everything. It has state-of-the-art facilities, great medical care. We're going to help 10,000 pets on this side of the island, probably 15 to 20,000 people. So it's got everything, but we need more community involvement, because joining the mission, joining the animal welfare cause is so important to making Honolulu a better place. So we invite people to come out here and see it.
And if you're an animal lover, like myself, that maybe can't have a dog in a small apartment or a condo, you can donate. And that goes a long way, too. I know the board appreciates those donations, because this place simply wouldn't be here without that.
That's right, Casey. There's lots of ways to give support, either personally adopting animals or helping with financial contributions. We always need more resources. It's over $500 per animal to when they come in for intake services and medical care. So that adds up. So the more donations we get, the more contributions that people can give, the more animals we can help.
Very good. And Tracy Tanaki is with us also from D.R. Horton. And I want to reference something. D.R. Horton, by the way, donated the land here. Huge. This is a beautiful piece of land that they've turned this into such a wonderful facility. And we want to talk about this family in particular and this sign that's here in front of the dog park.
Absolutely. Thank you, Casey. Wow, I didn't realize we would ever be a part of American Idol, but isn't that fantastic? But the Ho'opili means coming together. And D.R. Horton is building the Ho'opili community behind us and where this land sits. And we've been building homes here for nearly 5 decades, starting with the Jim Schuler and the Schuler Family Foundation, and Mike and Pam Jones have all been critical. Now with the D.R. Horton Ohana, we are all animal lovers, and we're so excited and so humbled to be partnered with the Hawaiian Humane Society to have this fantastic facility within Ho'opili that's going to service not just Ho'opili, but the Ewa area and the west side. And what more could we ask for with our coming together vision than bringing loving animals with loving families? We're just ecstatic.
All right, Tracy, thank you so much. And we want to remind you about an adoption special, a Memorial Day adoption special happening the 25th through the 28th out here from 11 to 7. Their hours of operation. Essentially, you'll get waived adoption fee for animals a year or older and all small animals. A great opportunity. They said when they first opened their doors, there was a line of folks out here waiting to adopt pets. So that means that this is a much needed resource here on the west side. All the details online at hawaiinewsnow.com. We'll send things back to you for now.
Looks awesome, Case.
Yeah, it was. And it was really difficult not to take a dog home.
Oh, I bet.
Not set up for that right now just yet, but soon. Soon, maybe. I'll move in with you, Ash. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Kind of Stanley's friend.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching. This Is Now, everyone. We're going to have much more news coming up ahead on First at 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.